What's going on, everybody? Happy 2023 NBA Draft Day. I'm fired up. I feel like a little kid on Christmas right now. And on today's show, we're going to be going over the final Chicago Bulls trade rumors, mainly around Zach LaVine. I actually have a blockbuster trade idea around Zach LaVine and the Charlotte Hornets, where I got the Bulls going and getting Scoot Henderson. We're going to be diving into all that and more, and then also some second-round draft targets for the Chicago Bulls in the later half of today's video. Who knows? Maybe they could go buy a second-round pick. But, guys, before we get into it, my goal by the end of today, by the end of the draft, is to hit 2.2 thousand subscribers here on the channel. Shout out to all you guys who have hit that subscribe button so far. We've been growing like crazy, just growing this kind of Chicago Bulls family here on YouTube. I love talking hoops, and I love chopping it up with you guys down in the comment section. So if you guys haven't subscribed yet, help us out here. We're 74 away from 2.2 thousand. Free, easy way to help us out. But this is it. This is the trade idea I cooked up. And Rolly probably hates it, but I don't care. The Bulls would be receiving Gordon Hayward, Kai Jones, the second pick in the 2023 NBA draft, and then the 39th and the 41st pick in the draft tonight as well. And we'll kind of dive into some targets for that too. But then we'd also be getting a 2026 first-round pick that's top 5 protected. From the Hornets side of things, maybe they want to kind of go all in and kind of stop being the bottom feeders of the Eastern Conference and pair up LaMelo Ball with Zach LaVine. And maybe Jordan's getting a little desperate. Obviously he's selling the team and everything. Maybe he wants to make that one blockbuster move to kind of get LaMelo some sort of piece. But let's start off with Gordon Hayward as the main player the Bulls will be getting. He is on an expiring contract. That's the number one kind of move. And with this whole trade with the Charlotte Hornets, this means like full-on rebuild for the Chicago Bulls, because obviously you're getting Gordon Hayward. You're not bringing in Gordon Hayward to try to push the needle and win games. I mean, he did have a very solid year last year. I mean, obviously he's not the same guy that he was back in Utah, or even that first kind of couple of weeks in Boston before he hurt his leg. But I mean, 15 a game, 4.3 rebounds a game, and 4 assists for Gordon Hayward this season. But it's that contract, and this is why it kind of works. And he is on a one-year, $31.5 million deal next year. So it's an expiring deal, and if the Bulls kind of fully pivot to this rebuild, having a guy like Hayward to kind of, be a shooter around whoever the Bulls do get at that second overall pick, and kind of just, help develop guys like Io. Like, I still believe, like, in the NBA, when you are pivoting to that rebuild, it helps a ton to have just a veteran presence and just an overall, just a leader and just a kind of father figure almost for these younger guys. But speak about one of those younger guys that I hope the Bulls get tonight, Scoot frickin' Henderson. This is my dream scenario. I've been saying it for a while. Like, the number one move that the Bulls can make this offseason is somehow find a way to get Scoot Henderson to Chicago. I mean, he is a dynamic point guard, great physicality. He's a D. Rose, Russell Westbrook hybrid. His physical kind of stature is a lot like Russell Westbrook. But when I've been kind of watching Scoot's tape, actually, the way he dribbles the basketball, very similar to Rajon Rondo. Like, Rondo palmed the ball a lot when he was dribbling, and Scoot kind of dribbles the same way. He's got these big hands, long arm. Like I said, very physical type of player. He's got that quick burst that D. Rose had, but it's that stature that really reminds me of Westbrook. And, man, if the Bulls got Scoot tonight, I'd probably shed a tear, because that would be finally the Bulls doing something right in the right direction. Like, go be aggressive. Go try to, push all your chips to the center of the table here and go get a guy like Scoot, because we've heard it. Many NBA analysts have been saying, like, Scoot would be the number one pick in the next 2 upcoming drafts. Like, this draft class, the top 3 of Wembanyama, Brandon Miller, and Scoot Henderson, probably the best 3 we've had since the Zion, Ja, and R.J. Barrett draft. And I honestly think this year's draft could even be better than that year's draft, because you have the top-end guy in Wembanyama, who knows? People are calling him a Gen Z Kareem Abdul-Jabbar. And then you got the Scoot Henderson, the Russell Westbrook type of player. And then you got Brandon Miller, the Paul George type of player. But Bulls, go get Scoot. And honestly, Chicago, they deserve an athletic point guard. I mean, with what we had with obviously D. Rose and, the injury history and the kind of whole saga of Derrick Rose, like, I really do believe Chicago deserves an athletic point guard, and it just feels right. Like, it's just one of those things in the league where it's like, when the Bulls are good and they got an athletic point guard, I think the NBA is better. I mean, this is my number one move the Bulls can make tonight, is somehow send LaVine to whether it's Charlotte or maybe even Portland, because we got the reports yesterday that the Trailblazers are done shopping Damian Lillard, which, who knows? I mean, would I be shocked if Dame gets traded tonight? No, not at all. But maybe they could go trade for the 3rd overall pick and hope that the Hornets do select Brandon Miller at 2, or maybe you just push all your chips to the center of the table and go get that second pick. We'll ask you guys, would you accept this trade? The Bulls would be getting Gordon Hayward, Kai Jones, the second pick, the 39th, and the 41st pick in this year's 2023 NBA draft. They would also be getting a 2026 first-round pick that is top 5 protected, all for Zach LaVine. Would you accept this trade? Give me an A for accept, or give me a D for decline down in the comment section. We're also going to be live for the NBA draft tonight here at Chat Sports. If you guys see this thumbnail on your YouTube page, make sure you click on it and come and hang out with us. It's going to be a ton of fun. It's just going to be a bunch of dudes talking ball. It's the best way to kind of spend your NBA draft experience. I'm super excited. So if you see this thumbnail on your YouTube page, click on it. Come hang out with us. Nobody does the NBA draft better than we do here at Chat Sports. But in that trade, the Bulls ended up getting the 39th and 41st overall pick in the second round this year. And there's been some talk about the Bulls potentially kind of buying a pick in the second round. You know, we've heard the reports about the Bulls. They really want to try to get a first-round pick, but maybe they strike out, and then maybe they try to go in the second round. So I got 3 draft targets that I think the Bulls could look at. Starting off with Julian Strawther, the guard out of Gonzaga. And I'm a big fan of him. He is a shooter, just a pure shooter. He's a bucket getter. He's 6'6", 209 pounds with a 6'9" wingspan. And this past year at Gonzaga, he was a bucket getter. I mean, he was a huge catalyst to the Gonzaga. I think they made a Sweet 16 or maybe an Elite 8 run this past year, and he hit that unreal shot versus UCLA from the logo where he just stepped in and drilled it. He's a comfortable scorer of the basketball at all 3 levels. He's got a clean jump shot, which allows him to shoot from deep if needed. And he got better as a shooter every year in college, and that's just something I like because it speaks to the work ethic. It speaks to the player that he is. I would be a big fan of Strawther, bringing him in the second round, and especially no matter what direction the Bulls go here, like maybe they do decide to run it back for whatever reason with this roster. Shooting is a big need for the Chicago Bulls, and Strawther kind of checks that box. And a little pro comp from my guy Rolly here. A little Landry Shamet in his game. You know, he's got good size. He's a good scorer. And maybe he could even improve as a defender. I think Strawther's one of those guys, especially if you're talking about second-round guys that you would take. I would want them to excel as role players. And I think Strawther can do that. Second guy on my list, Seth Lundy, the guard out of Penn State. Honestly, before we kind of got in here, I was shocked that Penn State had 2 guys that could potentially go in the second round tonight, because they kind of struggled during the regular season of college basketball, but then really kind of got it going in the second half of the year. But this past season, Seth Lundy, I mean, he was good. I mean, he's 6'4", 214 pounds. He's got a 6'10" wingspan at 6'4", so he kind of has that potential as a defender as well. He's a really good shooter on the move. Like, he moves very well, kind of coming off down screens, whatever it may be. I mean, he shot 40% here from 3. I mean, if you guys seen Julian Strawther, 40% from 3. Seth Lundy, 40% from 3. I just think the Bulls shooting is a number 1 need that they need to address. He doesn't need the ball in his hands. You could argue that he is more effective moving off ball. The base of his jump shot varies. If he gets to his release, he will make the shot. So he's going to have to get more consistent in that aspect, but also adding on muscle and adding on just muscle to his lower half. That's always improved the base for shooters. I mean, we've heard Jason Tatum talk about it, like the number 1 move that helped him kind of become the shooter he is now is kind of working out his legs. A comp for my guy Rolly was a hybrid of Duncan Robinson and Caleb Martin. That screams probably my favorite role player in the league if you could get a guy like that, a combination of Duncan Robinson and Caleb Martin. He moves off ball similar to Duncan, and he finishes at the rim similar to Caleb Martin. And now here's probably my Rolly kind of put me on to this guy, Mouhamed Gueye out of Washington State. I'm a big fan of him, especially I threw on his highlight tape last night. He is incredibly interesting at this center position. But this past year, 14.3 points per game for Mouhamed Gueye out of Washington State. And overall, again with the Bulls, like, you're going to need to get some of these guys in the second round. You're going to have to be critical, and you're going to have to kind of be very analytical with how you go about this. But he developed a good jump shot when he was at Washington State, where he just rises over his defenders. He's got good size, 6'10". He has a 7'3" wingspan. So again, wingspan and size, it's a huge kind of indicator of if you can kind of develop into a solid defender. He was a 49% free throw shooter as a freshman, but that jumped up in year 2 to 67.4. So it kind of speaks to the work ethic again. He's a good offensive rebounder who can sky up for a putback. His post footwork is all right. He's a little slow, but prefers to shoot in the mid-range, what I think kind of speaks to the NBA game a little bit. Like, not too often, like, besides, like, a guy like Jokic or Embiid, where we see a big, or even our very own Vooch, like, really get their back to the basket and make a move. Mouhamed Gueye, his comp coming up from here from Chat Sports is Christian Wood. Christian Wood. I would love that. I mean, if you could get a guy like Christian Wood in the second round, that would be fantastic. Those are my three guys that I think the Bulls could potentially draft, and Julian Strawther, Seth Lundy, and Mouhamed Gueye in the second round. But besides Scoot Henderson, no Scoots in the comment section. Name a player you want the Bulls to draft tonight. It could even be them trading for like 15. You want to get a guy like Jordan Hawkins, or 20. You want to get a guy like Jaime Jaquez. Whoever it may be, name a player you want the Bulls to draft besides Scoot Henderson. As always, guys, subscribe to the channel. Free agency is just around the corner after the NBA draft, so we're going to have you covered with whatever it may be there. The Bulls are making moves. We got you covered, and I promise you, if the Bulls go try to trade up to 2 or 3 and get Scoot, we'll have a video ASAP, or who knows, maybe we'll just go live on the channel as well. But thank you guys so much for watching. Make sure you guys hit that subscribe button. We'll be your one-stop shop for everything around the draft tonight and free agency next week. See you guys next time. Go Bulls.